all of you obviously want to learn Selenium with Java, right? And there are different goals which everybody has. Some people want to clear an interview, or you want to work on a project. Okay, look, honestly speaking, if you have this goal with you to learn this tool, okay, just to learn that, having knowledge of this tool, it will just take you 4 weeks. In 4 weeks, you can learn Selenium, you can get a knowledge that what Selenium is about and how it works. Okay, but in order to attain these objectives, clear an interview and work in a project, it takes nearly 4 to 6 months. Okay, this training is for 2 months. Okay, so in the 2 months training would be the phase one of the training where we will learn Selenium, we will learn a project, we'll work on something, and you will reach a certain level. But that level won't be, the level which will help you get a job or clear a or work in a project. Okay, you will realize that after 2 months or nearly 1.5 months, you can say. But in the next phase would be literally for 3 months of this training, in which I always call people once a week online and I give them a lot of assignments and projects to do, which you have to do it on your own and submit it to me every week. On Sundays or Saturdays, we meet. I've been doing this with the older batches as well. Okay. So what happens is that in a time frame of 4 to 6 months, you attain a confidence, right? Especially from the phase two, that yes, I know Selenium and I can sit in an interview. Okay. And then I ask people to give interviews in the companies which they don't want to join. Maybe if you are sitting in one location, you can, give interviews in the companies which are on the other locations. So, that gives you a little confidence, right? And then you start giving interviews in the companies which are at your location and you will see the difference. Okay. Don't look at the salary package in the beginning for automation. All right, it takes time. When you join the company, you will learn something, and maybe you can. Generally, people look at the salary part, and you should not be doing that in the beginning, but that's a later stage. But yes, for learning it, this is the process. Learning it to a level where you can clear an interview and work in a project. Okay, at times people ask us that, do you give job surety while joining the training or something? Look, nobody can give a job surety. Okay, I'll be very honest with you. It is you who has to work. We are there. Only thing is that when people join the training, if a batch of 10 people they start, right, then what happens is that um, they don't focus. Okay, you have to give in this phase one, you will have to give 1 to 2 hours a day, every day in this for this training. Okay, if you are not practicing, I am recording the session. I'll be sending you the recorded video. Okay, but if you are not practicing every day 1 to 2 hours, then once this phase is over, you will not be fit for the phase two, and you will not have the confidence to even work on the assignments and the projects, which will be based on the phase one. All right. So that's the thing. Okay, it is, I can, no mathematics teacher can teach anyone mathematics on a blackboard. You can just look at the problems and the solutions on the blackboard, but it eventually that when you open the book and you burn the midnight oil and you study, only then you can solve it for yourself. Okay, so this is the thing, right? And generally people ask me that what all will be taught in the course. Okay, look, I'll teach you everything. Okay, the problem is that when you learn Selenium with Java, it's easy, but the problem is it is vast. Vast because it's not just you have to learn Selenium, you have to learn a lot of things. Okay, first you have to learn Java, then you have to learn Selenium commands. Now, Selenium automates browsers. Okay, it's a browser automation tool. It can open a browser, go to a website, click on a link. All right. But Selenium is a tool which will only interact with the browser. Selenium has the commands to interact with the browser. It cannot build test cases. Like when we are in automation, we want to automate test cases. Okay, Selenium cannot generate any reports. All right, it's just a tool to interact with the browser. It's got commands to click, to type, to open, to close the browsers. So we have to use other tools like you'll have to learn TestNG, which helps you to, build test cases. And then you have to incorporate or combine Selenium with TestNG. Then you have to learn about, reporting tools, which are not part of Selenium, but you use it with Selenium. Okay, which can help you build good reports. Okay, then we have to learn about Maven. I'll tell you what Maven is later on. Okay, you have to learn about Grid. Grid is about parallel execution. Okay, how to do the parallel testing of the test cases. It saves time. Okay, you can distribute your test cases in 5, 6 machines and parallelly automate them. Okay, and you have to learn about continuous integration, Jenkins and all. Okay, you have to even study about data management. Okay, because Selenium cannot manage your data. You have to yourself manage the data in an Excel file or a JSON file or a text file or a properties file. Okay, because when we automate, when we build scripts, we keep our data somewhere. We don't mix the script with the data. Fine. So, for example, if I have to log in inside a website, so the username and password, I prefer to keep inside some other file so that I can change it easily. Fine. So, Selenium doesn't offer all these things. So, you have to learn about all these things yourself, right? And what is Jenkins? I'll. This is not the stage where I should be telling you Jenkins and Git. Okay, so it is vast, but it is easy, right? That's why I told you it takes time. And of course, in the end, the main objective is you have to learn about framework building. If you go to any interview, the first question in the interview is that tell me the framework which you have worked on. Okay, so if you just tell them in a superficial way, they won't accept it. Framework is like, an end-to-end solution. If somebody gives you 300 manual test cases and he tells you to automate them, then what kind of approach you will follow? What kind of concept which you will follow? How will you automate them? Okay, that concept is known as a framework. And there are different types of frameworks. Okay, like you have got data driven, you have got hybrid. In Selenium, you have page object model, and you also have a Cucumber BDD, which is quite famous. So you have to learn these frameworks. Okay, so it takes time. It takes literally a lot of time. At least even if you learn two types of frameworks, you can still go for an interview because any genuine interviewer who has good experience and who is taking your interview, he will know that it is very tough to find candidates who know all the types of frameworks because these are vast. Okay, these they take time to understand, these take time to, grasp everything. All right. So gradually we will be doing everything. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me, like anybody with any questions, anything.
Yeah, Ashish, all these
Yeah.
will all these be covered?
Pardon?
Like all these topics will be covered,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Java to, yeah, okay.
Yes, from Java to Selenium to frameworks, TestNG, reporting tools, name everything.
Okay.
In the phase 1, we will be learning all of these, and we learn the framework as well.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else with any questions?
Yeah, she's and just my part is like just I would like to understand. Okay, we are going to cover all this. That is fine. But when I'm just start to learning this framework, so like for example, my project will ask me to okay create a framework, or like we have to automate our test cases. But I'm worrying like okay in the middle of something, if I will stuck or like my framework doesn't work, then what I will need to do, or like I will be able to resolve the problems, or like this kind of
Yes,
like
we do help
question is
out with
coming in my mind.
questions. Look, we do help out with questions. We do help out with problem solutions. But you know what I prefer is obviously the hard way, solve it yourself. Because when you solve a problem yourself, the experience which it gives you, nobody else can give you. We did it ourselves. Okay, I'm working on automation since 2007, and I've seen how market grows and how people have how tools have changed and how we have learned. We means that how I have learned. Okay, the best way is solve it yourself. But if you are not able to solve it, you can contact us. We can help you out. All right, that we have a forum as well. You can post there. Okay. And the best programmers or the best learners are the learners who know how to learn from Google. Okay. Always search out your errors on Google, and I'm telling you 100%, you will get a solution. Okay. Then there's nobody who knows everything. People do get errors and all. So try to solve it yourself first. If you don't get it, then you can contact us. Okay, as a beginner, yes, you will be stuck. I know that many people get stuck, but with um, gradually working on it every day, okay, it gives you a lot of uh, experience. Look, it's all about experience. When I say that it takes around 4 to 6 months to completely learn it, that means you will be at par with a person having, say, 2 years of experience on Selenium, and you can actually sit in an interview, and that thing only comes with practice, and that thing only comes up when you get errors, okay, when you get failures, when you are stuck somewhere. Okay, right. So anybody else with any questions? Anything? Right. So all right, so let's start. I hope about Java. um, you can simply install JDK. Okay, you can install 18, you can install 11, anything. Okay, go to the Oracle website. I think you already have, many of you must be having this, right? You can create an account on this website and download a JDK for your operating system. Fine, and install it. All right, when you click on this, it will ask you for a login, or they have removed it. No, the Oracle is asking you to log in and install JDK. Okay. Now, after that, you can simply download Eclipse. Right. Eclipse is an editor for Java language. All right. I think most of you must be having it. If you're not having it, you can download and install it. And when you start Eclipse, it's basically an editor where you will write the code. Some of the people also use IntelliJ, but as a beginner, I think Eclipse is light enough to use for Selenium. Fine. And over here, you can create a workspace. Okay. The workspace is the path where we will be storing the entire projects and the code which we will be building in this training. Okay. So you click on launch and Eclipse will start up. Right. So meanwhile, Eclipse starts up. Right. you go to the official website of Selenium. Okay, hold on. So this is the official website of Selenium, selenium.dev, right? And the first line over here is Selenium automates browsers. Okay, it's only for browser automation, not the automation of desktop applications. Fine. And there are different components of Selenium, Selenium WebDriver, which we are obviously going to learn, and Selenium Grid, which is for parallel execution. Selenium IDE, I don't teach in the training. It's not a very professional tool. Okay, it generates no reports, nothing. All right. It is not you, it cannot be used to automate, say, 6,000 test cases or something. It is just a browser extension. Okay, so I don't focus on this. It's not actually required. Fine. Now telling you a little bit about Selenium, that how it has evolved, because people ask us questions, right? And you should be knowing. Look, I don't know when this tool came up, but in 2007 or 8, I worked on it for the first time, and at that time it was called as Selenium RC, and it was a very pathetic tool. Honestly, it worked 50% of the times, and half of the times it never used to work. And then in 2011, they came up with a Selenium WebDriver, which was also known as 2.0. Okay, now it was very good and it was having a lot of features, but it was unstable as well. So by the time it was 2014, they had this stability in Selenium, right? Majority of the commands were developed, and after that, it started picking up really well as well. And in 2016, somewhere, or maybe 17, I guess, they came up with Selenium 3.0. The only thing between difference between 2.0 and 3.0 was bug fixes. And somewhere around 2020, Selenium 4.0 also came up. Now, the thing is, there is no difference in commands, and hardly any difference. 2.0 or 3.0 or 4.0. All the commands are same in these versions. Okay, whatever commands were there in 2.0 are still there in 4.0. Majorly, they have changed the internal components of this tool, how it works, how it interacts with the browsers. The external commands are still the same. There has been some changes in the commands, but if you compare 2.0 and 4.0 in around 7-8 years, the 95% of the commands are still the same. So generally people ask me that, are you teaching the latest version or something? It really doesn't matter with this tool. The commands are same since the beginning. Okay, they have been trying to restructure and restabilize the tool with the new versions. Okay, and the most stable version of Selenium is this one. It was there 2.141, sorry. Okay, it's still used in a lot of projects in the companies. It was there till around 3 years. They never changed the version for 3 years. This was the most stable version, and some companies still use this version of Selenium in the projects. Okay, right, but fine. Now you have new things coming up. In 4.0, the Selenium grid has entirely changed. They entirely changed Selenium grid in the new version of 4.0. But it is giving some issues. Still, it is giving grid is giving some issues in the new version of Selenium. Okay, so grid, as I told you, it is for parallel execution of the test cases. Right. Now, this was just a brief introduction about this tool. Okay. Now, if you talk about WebDriver, and suppose if I go to the downloads section over here, then Selenium WebDriver, like it's available in different languages. You can code in different languages. Okay, we are doing with Java. And these are the API docs. Okay. if I open it in a new tab, this is the technical documentation of Selenium. You can go to this frames, click on this frames link. You will get a frames view. Look, this is just a technical documentation of Selenium. You cannot understand this until or unless you understand the concepts of OOPS, which is object-oriented programming. Okay. Uh, Selenium, the entire architecture of Selenium is based on object-oriented programming. And that's my first goal in the training. The first goal is to make you understand the concept of object-oriented programming. Okay, Java is completely object-oriented. All right. And you can easily understand this documentation once you understand the concepts of OOPS. Fine. And hold on. Okay, this is Eclipse. We had started Eclipse. Fine. This is the welcome screen. You can close this welcome screen. Okay. Now, as a beginner, many of you might have worked on Eclipse. I suppose everybody has. Okay, some other time, but still, right? You can create a new project. Okay, and under General or under Java, sorry, you can select a Java project. Right. And I'll call it as day 01. So you have to create an Eclipse project. Okay, click on don't create over here. Right. So this is a simple Eclipse project which has a source folder under it and something known as JRE system library, which is actually the Java which is installed in your system. Okay. When you right click on this project, you will get a lot of options. We will be studying these options gradually in the training. One of the options is properties. If you go to this option, you will see the location where this project is lying. Okay. And if you click on this button, see this is the day 1 project, which is lying in your PC. And if you open it, you will see a lot of folders and files, out of which only source folder is visible out in the Eclipse. In Eclipse, you will be only able to see the source folder. Okay, this dot project folder means that it's an Eclipse project. Don't, sorry, the file dot project file. Don't delete it. We'll study about these things gradually. Okay, now in Selenium, sorry, in Java, you just right click on the source folder and create a new class, a Java class. Okay, I'll just call it as basics and click on this checkbox, public static void main, and you will have this file generated. Most of you might be knowing this, some of you might not be. So I'm just starting from the basics. Okay, hold on. Okay, look how I am going to go about in this training is I will teach you Java and Selenium parallelly. Okay, it is not that in the first 10 classes we will learn Java and then the remaining classes we will learn Selenium. No, I'll teach you Java, some concepts of Java, and then I'll tell you how those concepts will be used in Selenium. Okay, you will understand, right? So this is the class, public class basics, and this is the main function. Fine. What is public, what is static and all. I'll come over to those things. This is the function in which the control comes out for the first time when you start the program. if I print something learning Java. So the command to print something in Java is system.out.println. You have to type syso and hit control space bar of the keyboard and it will come up a shortcut. Right. You can run the program. This is the run button and you will see the output over here. Right. Now I'm assuming that you know at least the basics. You know what integer is, you know what a string is, right? Okay. And you know what a for loop is, what a while loop is, you know what if statements are. Okay, these are basics of every programming. I'm assuming that at least you know these things, right? What a normal function is, right? What I want to teach you is object-oriented programming. I'll come over to it. Fine. Now, the first thing is something about debugging programs. This is important because somebody just asked me the question that what if, I fall into some trouble? Will you help us? Look, the thing is, the best way to solve your problems is through debugging. If I'm writing a 100-line code and the code is not working, you can actually see why it's not working and where it is actually going wrong with the help of debugging. Okay, for example, if I write over here int a equals to 100 and int b equals to 200 and you have to put a semicolon in front of lines, right? And I write int. Java is a case sensitive language. One thing, guys, many people do this mistake. Don't keep the I capital over here. Okay, if it is small, has to be small, right? Int c equals to a plus b and int d equals to c plus 400. And I print the value of c. Okay, now in debugging, you can run the program line by line. If you want to run it normally, you click on this button and it runs normally. In debugging, you can put a breakpoint. Suppose on the first line, I put a breakpoint by double clicking in front of the line and you see a blue mark comes up. This is known as a breakpoint. And then you run the program in this debug view, debug basics. When you run it in this view, see the program, it stops on this line. Okay, the green mark says that it is stopping on this line. And if you hit F6 of the keyboard, it will execute this line, come over to the next line, and it has printed learning Java. And if I run this line F6 again, then it will execute this line. And on the left side, on the right side, you will have this variables section. In this, you will be able to see the value of I. Okay, it is 100. All right. Then you hit F6 of the keyboard again, and you will see the value of the variable s is hello there. So you can actually see at runtime what are the values of your variables. So this thing will help you a lot. Okay, if I hit F6, then A becomes 100, B becomes 200, and F6 again. Then C becomes A plus B, which is 300, and F6 again, and D becomes 700 because 300 plus 400. Okay, so you can actually see the status of your variables changing. If you hit F8, it will run normally. Okay, so F6 is to run line by line and F8 is for normal run. Okay, let me run this again. I'll run it again and it will stop on this line. If I hit F6, it will execute this line. If I hit F8, it will run the program at a normal speed and end it. But the first thing is you have to put a breakpoint. I can put a breakpoint, say I put a breakpoint on this line, and I put a breakpoint on, say, int b equals to 200, this line. So I've put two breakpoints over here. If I run it in the debug mode, it will stop on the first breakpoint. If I hit F6, it will run line by line. If I hit F8, it will run regularly, but stop on the next breakpoint. Okay, so when you have a lengthy code, we put multiple breakpoints and then we check whether the control is coming from the first breakpoint to the second breakpoint to the third breakpoint. So it helps me to understand, suppose if the control is not coming from this line and it's not coming over to this line, that means something in between is wrong. Okay, so I'm just taking a wild example with you. Okay, so basically you can put multiple breakpoints. You can just see how your program is running line by line, what are the status of your variables, and then it helps you to understand that what mistake you are actually doing. And you can also search on Google. All right. So the best way for a beginner, this is the first thing which I'm teaching in Selenium course, debugging, because this is the best thing for you to understand that this is something which will take you till the end. And debugging your programs and searching on Google will help you to resolve your doubts. And as I told you, the self-learning process is the best process. Okay, if you solve out the problems yourself, then you get the experience which even nobody can give you. Okay, and that's what the thing is. It's all about having an experience. Fine. You can shift over, you can click on this small open perspective icon and you can switch over to the Java perspective. When you run it in the debug mode, the control switches to the debug perspective. This window comes up. If you want to get rid of it, you switch over to the Java perspective. Okay, right. So, okay. Now, one more thing, guys. As a beginner, what happens is at times you close this package explorer or you close this console window on which the output is coming. And then you really don't know what to do and bring these windows back. Okay, so you can go to Windows, show view, console, and console will come back and Windows, show view, package, project explorer, you can say, or package explorer, anything. So this will come up, package explorer will come up. Right. So this is just a small thing, right? And another thing, hold on, just a minute. Let me open the workspace from the last batch. Just few things about Eclipse. So this is just an introductory session where I just want to tell you that how we will be going around. So when you have practical, when you work practically, you have a lot of projects and you have a lot of files, right? So sometimes what happens is like, suppose in a project you have lot of files, right? And I open these files, right? So you should always keep your this two buttons link with editor. Always keep them clicked because when you switch between files, suppose if I open this file, then this datautil.java will be highlighted on the left side. If I don't click on these, if I keep on opening, then you will not know which area of the project has got this file. If you keep these two buttons, these two arrow buttons, link with editor button clicked, Then whichever file you open, see the file is getting highlighted on the left side. It helps us as programmers because we know where this file is on the left side. Okay, in the package explorer. So the first thing is link with editor. So these are some features of Eclipse. Okay, so keep the link with editor button clicked. Secondly, sometimes when you have a bigger workspace, right, you really don't know, you know the name of the file, but you really don't know where the file is lying. So you can use a shortcut, Control Shift and T, T as in telephone, and then you type the name of the file. So the file names will be sorted out. Suppose if I want to open this file reading JSON, so you double click on it and that particular file will open up in Eclipse. So you can search for file names when you have a bigger project like this, Control Shift and T. Just a minute. Okay, this is Epic Pen. It troubles me. Okay, this is the shortcut to open this tool as well. Okay, anyways, this tool is getting opened on my PC. So Control Shift T is the shortcut to find a file in Eclipse. There are many other shortcuts as well, which I will tell you. Okay, but for time being, as a beginner, remember these two things. Okay, now we close this. Okay, if you talk about Selenium, look, Selenium is not installed on a PC. Okay, if you go to the download section, you will see the option to download the version 4.8. Okay, you click on this and it will be downloaded on your PC. It will have no exe. Okay, the zip file will not have any exe. Okay, so this is the, hold on, it's taking a little while. Yeah, Selenium Java 4.8. Okay, and when you if I extract it, the folder, you extract this file, and when you open this file, you will have lot of jars. There will be no exe. So Selenium is having no exe file. It comes with jar files. Okay, which the jar files over here, these are known as jar files in Java. These have pre-built functionalities. Okay, for example, if in Java, if I go and print new date, what is this date and all? What is the new command? You will come to know in some time. But if I give this command new date, and if I run this program, then it will print the current date, time zone, everything. So basically, I never had to do the hard work, okay, to print the date time. It came up instantly because there is some internal command which prints the current date and time. And similarly, the case is with Selenium. In Selenium, all the commands are inbuilt. You don't have to invent something. You have to understand those commands and you have to work on those commands. And those commands are there inside these jar files. Okay, you have to include the jar files in the project. Okay, if you right click on the project, you will get the properties option. Go to this window will open up. Go to this option, the fifth one from the top, Java build path. And in under the libraries section, right, there will be something known as class path. So Java build path, libraries, and the class path. I'm going to send you the video of this class. After the class, I'm going to send you. And you click on add external jars button. All right. And you select all the jars except the lib folder. Okay, outside the lib folder, select all the jars and also the jars in the lib folder. Okay, inside the lib, don't forget to include the jars which are in the lib folder. So include all the jars, click on apply and close, and you will have the option referenced libraries section generated over here. This will contain the Selenium jar files. Okay, so the Selenium jar files are having Selenium commands, and now your project is Selenium enabled. If I just type new Firefox driver, this command. Now, what is this Firefox driver? I'll tell you later on. You will see that. Hold on. Nothing happens. Hold on. Okay. It's taking a time. A blank. Okay. It doesn't
Is the
work.
Selenium
Timed out.
standalone given?
Pardon?
Is that Selenium standalone is not given, right?
No, no, you don't have to add that. Standalone, you don't need to add. Standalone is used with grid. Okay. There is some version discrepancy. I know that. Yeah, you see that if I type new Chrome driver, a blank Chrome browser opens up. So I never did any major thing. I just gave a command. What this command does, we will do how this command works. We will understand that later on. But my uh, idea is just to tell you that everything is inbuilt. Somewhere in the jars over here, the commands are inbuilt. You don't have to worry. You just have to use these commands. And to understand these commands, you have to understand the concepts of OOPS first, object-oriented programming. And the best way to learn object-oriented programming is you can learn it obviously from the training, but to solve the quizzes which I will be giving you. When I will teach you object-oriented programming from tomorrow, okay, how to create objects, what interfaces are, what inheritances. You solve some quizzes and exercises which I will give you, multiple choice questions. It will not be an exam, but it will be a good eye opener for you to understand what OOPS is all about. So by the fifth class or something, I'll start giving you the quizzes. Okay, maybe some of them tomorrow as well. Right. So this will help you, and then we will come over to Selenium once we understand object creation and all, and then we'll see how that works in with Selenium. All right. So I'll stop here for today. Okay. And we'll have the class every day. All right.